Colleagues, I'm not sure if I've glitched as I've been recording that, and so I'm going to just do that again. If I've made the recording in such a way that you've seen that video perfectly clearly, then would you please just scoot through the next 3 minutes and pick it up where we come back onto the PowerPoint presentation.
One thing is for certain, we're all going to die. But the question is, what happens after death? Some people claim to have a near-death experience, and others to have talked to the dead, but no one really knows for sure what lies beyond the grave. Every religion claims to have the answer to the afterlife. These are just two. In Christianity, the Adam and Eve story gives a reason why humans can't live forever. Their disobedience to God brought sin and death into the world. Christians also believe that when Jesus died and then rose from the dead, it was a victory over death. So Christian funeral services are full of hope for a heavenly, eternal life. But Jesus never went into much detail about the afterlife, so Christians down the ages have had different ideas. The first Christians believed that Jesus was returning soon, so they'd never die. Later ideas of heaven and hell were developed in greater detail. Heaven was a perfect place beyond the sky where they'd live forever with Jesus. But for sinners, there was a hell fire where they'd be punished for their sins. Many Christians still believe this view of the afterlife. Others now see heaven and hell more as states of mind, either one of happiness because you're one with God, or unhappiness because you're forever without him. Some Roman Catholics believe there's a place between heaven and hell called purgatory, where some will go to receive punishment for their sins. Then, when they're forgiven, they'll go to heaven. In Buddhism, unlike Christianity, death is no one-off. Everyone is constantly reborn. The way it works is this. What happens to someone after death depends on what he or she did in life. This is karma. You could see it like this. This week's wages are based on last week's work. Next week's wages depend on what we do now. But it's not one soul that passes from one body to another, it's more like a collection of desires and attachments that pass on to the next life. Because the Buddha was born in India, it can be seen as if Buddhist teaching has taken much from Hinduism. But the Buddhist understanding of rebirth is not the same as Hindu ideas about reincarnation. Buddhists believe that karma puts you in one of 6 realms. You may go to hell, but not forever. You can be reborn into one of the other realms. The human realm is seen as the best, even better than the realm of the supernatural beings, who are too happy to go seeking higher happiness. But the goal of the Buddhist is to bring this cycle of death and rebirth to an end, nirvana. This is not an Eastern version of heaven, but rather an end to aggression, ignorance, and desire. Nobody wants to die, and the idea that part of us could survive death certainly offers hope and comfort. But could he be more than that? Could the afterlife be for real?
Now, I'm not saying that this little 3.5-minute clip about Buddhist and Christian understandings of the afterlife is the be-all and end-all of critical RVE. But can you see that it is intended to offer a critical approach because it takes 2 different viewpoints about the question of life after death, each of which has a philosophical grounding in the Christian or the Buddhist worldview and is supported by the beliefs of hundreds of millions of people over thousands of years, and asks to take them seriously, to have a think about them. And of course, there's a critical engagement to be had between the Christian and the Buddhist as to whose vision or version of the afterlife is the most persuasive or compelling, or as to whether both of those interpretations of the kind of ultimate end of human lives could possibly be compatible in any way with each other. And then there's an agnostic or atheist critique from beyond the realms of religion that says both of these ideas lacking in replicable evidence or the possibility of empirical research other than by dying itself, those must be set aside. Notice there that if you do that piece of work with pupils, and sorry, the quality of the video on this little presentation is not perfect, but I've given you the YouTube link there. If you do this piece of work with your pupils, then one way of following up, of deciding what's next, would be to say, right, I'm going to have some critical argument about the idea of afterlife. And you know the strategy that says a washing line discussion that says, here's a line strung across the classroom and pupils make a little name label that says their name on it, do it, fold over so they can just hang out on the washing line. It says Lat on one side and Lat on the other side. So you can sit in a circle around your washing line and everyone can see who's put their point of view here. For I disagree strongly with the Buddhist view of life after death. I agree strongly with the atheist view that there's no life after death, or whatever it may be. And just notice there that my 9 ideas here for critical thinking come from a wide range of plural sources. Take a look at that. James Dean says, what the thing is that you respect above everything else, that's an easy question. It's death. It's the one inevitable, undeniable truth. In it lies the only nobility for man, and beyond it, the only hope. That's intriguing from James Dean, isn't it? I want to know what the kids think about that. Near-death experiences, where we die for a few minutes and then are revived, give us some evidence to think about what might be next. Bright tunnels and visions of God. But they don't prove anything. Oh, how much I wish I could teach every Year 7 pupil the difference between evidence and proof, the difference between argument and proof. Part of the job. And look, I've got some quotations here from Islam, from Hindu tradition, from humanist sources, and a Christian one. When Christians die, we hope to meet our Lord Jesus, to be with him forever. Humanism, do not believe the lies of the religious. When we die, we are finished. This is not nice, but it is true. And it means we must live every day we have with love and passion. Humanism for the one life that we have. Can you picture a lesson in which the pupils do the washing line discussion, in which those 9 ideas are read out one by one and they think carefully about them, and then they go and hang their tickets on the washing line? I really agreed with that one. I really disagreed with that one. And in which they then go back to their seats in their circle time and each person gives their point of view. I've run this lesson. And the pupils loved it. And I sent them away to write about it with this sheet of quotations. And they produced extraordinary critical essays about the nature of the afterlife in different traditions, in different understandings, and about the possibility that there is no such thing as life beyond this life. Now, I come to the end of my time with you, colleagues. I promised you an hour's webinar, and I'd actually like to draw a conclusion to that by saying that we need those 3 characteristics of RVE: its objectivity, its pluralism, and its criticality wound together. And I'm going to say that I think RVE has, in some schools and contexts, got off to a good start. But in other schools and contexts, my observation at the moment is that RVE has become very much the poor relation to history and geography in the humanities area of learning and experience. And I see no reason for that. And I think that teachers of RVE need to probably stand and fight for equal time with history and geography, and alongside social studies and business study as well, and for the chance to plan investigations around topics like these. What does humans believe about life after this life? And what arguments are there around that topic? Will religion be growing or dying out in Wales in the coming half a century, and why? And will that reflect a global pattern? What is Easter? Is it a secular celebration that's left over from an older religious celebration? Or is it simultaneously a Christian event and a kind of national event for all the people in Wales who like an Easter egg and a holiday and a hot cross bun, but can't be bothered or aren't interested or don't wish to go to church or think about the death of Christ? What's going on? So I think that we badly need RVE, and that means actually you colleagues who are watching the webinar to plan fresh ways of being objective and critical and pluralist. And I want to ask, can any teacher be involved in this? Because if you're watching this as a primary teacher, whether you're a subject leader or no, or if you're a secondary teacher who's got an RE degree or a philosophy degree, or you're a teacher with another specialism, by the way, stop saying non-specialists about such teachers. We need them in RVE, and they're all specialists in something. But if you're a teacher with another specialism, can you do what I'm suggesting is needed here? Objective, critical, pluralistic religion, values, and ethics. Yes, you can. And you'll need some professional learning, and that's why I've been involved in the big exemplification project, not to give exemplars, but just examples that you could use. And I want to ask, I am often asked, are the pupils ready for this objective, critical, pluralistic RVE? And I say, I rest my case on the example of sociological study of Easter customs with 6 and 7-year-olds that I've shared with you from those classes, Avon and Malvern and Cotswold class from a school in Gloucestershire. And I want to say as well that the RVE innovations have sometimes been innovations around values and ethics, but they've left out religion. And I think that's a critical mistake. And that comes sometimes from teachers who seem to lack confidence that RVE has the potential in its religiousness, not in its coercive religiousness, but in its obsessive interest with fascination of religion. Does it have the potential to energize and interest pupils? I'm saying yes. I've seen it happen, based my life around it. My working career has been to take the material of global religion and let it loose in a squirt in all its energetic forcefulness into the minds of children and young people. And as it splashes around and they splash around in it, I find that my confidence that religion, values and ethics are vital topics for children and young people is increased. Commend that insight to you. Disagree with me about anything I've said today if you want to, but I'll argue long and hard that pupils will find interestingly presented religion and values and ethics interesting. Now, there are many challenges in the webinar that I presented and in the whole curriculum for Wales innovation around the humanities area of learning and experience and the RVE curriculum. Many challenges. And I fear that there is some jeopardy for RVE, even over against the relatively insecure position of RE in the Old Welsh curriculum. But I think that that jeopardy can be resisted. And I think any school, any teacher can rise to the challenges of presenting a critical, a pluralistic, and an objective religion, values, and ethics education. I showed you this slide before, and here I want to finish. The development of exemplar materials, adding up across all of those planned example units of work to over 100 lessons, and supported with detailed planning and connections to every aspect, the cross-cutting themes and the progression principles and the descriptions of the lenses for RVE. All of that is woven into the plan examples that we've created, and they're all available free thanks to generous partnerships there. I want to commend those 100 lessons and all of those resources to you, and to invite you, if you will, please, to be back in touch, to be in contact with myself, Lat at retoday.org.uk, or Angela, my colleague Angela Hill, Angela at retoday.org.uk. I'd like you to be in touch, particularly to share some of your tryouts of some of these topics and example lessons and resources and practical ways of approaching RVE that are plural and objective and critical. And although I've been at 1 or 2 points negative about where we've got to with RVE, I don't think it's a perfect picture. I don't think we've got where we need to be yet. Although I've been a bit negative about that, I actually carry with me as well enormous optimism because of the best of what I've seen of RVE, where teachers enthusiastically grab a hold of some big issues in religion and ethics, and they share them in exciting, engaging ways with children and young people who might be 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 years of age. And when I see that happening, which I have seen in the RVE innovations, then I think every school in every part of Wales could be, should be, can be, will be, I hope, doing this. I hope this exploration this afternoon has helped you to understand and to reinforce your own sense of what it means for RVE to be objective, critical, and pluralistic, and of why that might actually be quite exciting education. Thank you very much, and good day to you.